Would you perhaps adopt this same advocacy format or style in addressing other, equally important areas and key areas such as maybe education and employment opportunities? We're seeing improvements, all right, especially in the strengthening of educational institutions and teachers to deliver better inclusive education in Nigeria. But what more do you think should be done to infuse issues like maybe skills acquisition in schools for PWDs for just to better their chances, of self-reliance and better employment prospects maybe? Is that perhaps another key or core priority for your leadership?
Oh yeah, certainly. Now let me tell you something. Sometimes people have this feeling that if you give a person with disability job, it's just on the ground of magnanimity, that you are just kind-hearted. People make it look as if people even with disabilities do not really have much to offer, to the system. That is a great fallacy. It's one of the biggest errors. It is for this that the problem of discrimination, marginalization, sidelining have persisted up to this time. Let me tell you the story. I don't know how much time we have.
No, we do have. We can listen to your story.
Now, there was a young man in the great country of America who they say was extremely shy, so much that he couldn't look at anyone in the face and talk. Okay. And he had to he had his face. The mother was confused, didn't know what to do. And to make matters worse, when this boy reached the equivalent of SS2 in the American system, is when people choose whether I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a teacher, I want to be an engineer or whatever. And the boy asked his mom, he said, "Mom, I want to read a course where I will not be mingling with people." And the mother was confused, and that his grandmother was sitting behind. And the grandmother said, "Oh, tell Frank to go and study veterinary medicine. He doesn't want to mingle with people, at least he will mingle with animals, cows and all." And the boy said, "Oh no, I don't want to be a doctor. Talk more of becoming a veterinary doctor." So eventually, the mother creatively discovered that if he goes into the American Navy, he particularly tries to be the captain of a ship, he can be away on the Atlantic Ocean all by himself with just a handful of people. So he decided to join the Navy afterward, and he was so excited. They say he was so shy that to tell his wife, "I love you," was a huge task. He was trembling and shivering, and he eventually got a pen and wrote, "I love you." And she wrote back and said, "I love you more." And today many people say this on social media. They know the history. I'm talking about President Franklin Delano Roosevelt of the United States of America. Unfortunately for him, he was so happy in the Navy, fought many wars. Then he came down with polio, paralytic polio at the age of 39, and he came down on a wheelchair. And both his wife and his mom thought that that was the end. They all assumed that he was going to commit suicide, because the only thing that made him happy, getting away from people, was taken away from him. So he will now come back into public life. And so they set aside a meeting, and they said, "Frank, we have come to plead with you, appeal to you, accept this development as an act of God, retire into private life, and bear the fact that we will stand by you." The wife said, "I even love you the more. I will stand by you more than ever before." Of course, the mother was his mother. She had no option. But then he looked at them frankly and said, "No, that which did not kill me has only made me stronger." Yeah, and so he said, "I'm retiring into private, but I'm going into public life. I want to be a politician." And they all laugh. And the wife particularly was saying, "Look at someone who couldn't say, 'I love you.' How will you mount the podium now and say, 'Vote for me'?"
Americans.
Yeah, and tell them. And then to make matters worse, he moved out of his little village in Atlanta, Georgia, and moved to New York, the happening place, the grooving town in America, where all the happening guys are there. But he went there and talked to women, talked to boys, talked to everybody, and in no distant time, he had won the election to become a senator representing New York in the Congress of America.
Yeah.
And while he was there, the tenure of the president elapsed, and so it was time to look for a new president. And Franklin Roosevelt took up the form and said, "I want to be president." And he went around, before you know it, he had toured all 52 states of America, and he won the election to become the American president. Unfortunately for him, as soon as he got into the White House, the World War began, Second World War. And so he was able to conquer the Nazi Germany and the imperialist Japanese army, all on a wheelchair. His legs were weak, but his character, his mind, the willpower was all strong. And that he's one of the first person in America that promised the citizens that I'm going to be president for only one tenure. And so at the expiration of one tenure, he took up the pen and he was writing his handover notes. When he heard there were sporadic demonstrations all over America, and the topic of the protest was, Frank must run again. Yeah, and so he was shocked. They persuaded him, the demonstration became strong. Women, students, youths, everybody. So he picked the form, run for a second term. As he was planning to write handover note, there was another demonstration. Frank must run again, and he got the third time so easily and freely. You know, those of you who are in Nigeria know how difficult it is to get a third term. But Franklin, on his wheelchair, got the third term in America very freely on a platter of gold. He even won to become the president of America in the fourth tenure. It was during the pendency of his fourth term that he died in office on a wheelchair. And it was after his death that the American Congress amended the Constitution and fixed the tenure and elected president too. And what I'm trying to say is that that disability that occurs brings out the hidden strength in everybody. So if you employ a person living with disabilities, you've gotten an asset for your organization or for your system. If you befriend a person living with disabilities, you've gotten a friend for life.